Straight.
Hey, Tommy John here with Rubbing Elbows with Tommy John. We have one of my good friends, Russell Earl Bucky Dent. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you today, how and who gave you the nickname Bucky?
My grandmother. When I was real small, I guess I used to scoot around on my rear end, and it started out being Scooter Buck. And I used to get embarrassed by that as I got older. So they stopped calling me Scooter and just started calling me Buck, and it became Bucky. So that's how I got my nickname.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, Southern people, you know, they always give you a nickname, some kind of a nickname.
Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Miami. I was raised by my aunt and uncle. I started in Miami and I kept moving north. Miami, North Miami, Hollywood, Hialeah, all those areas until I moved up into the Boca Raton area. And now I'm over in the West Coast.
I was in Sarasota for 7 years when I played for the White Sox for our spring training down here.
Back in Sarasota, I keep, you know, telling my wife we were chuckling because I kept telling her about the ballpark that we played in, you know, the double wide trailer. That was, you know, that was our big league clubhouse. And I said, but it was, you know, it was a double wide trailer, but I said it was a big league. So who cared, you know? And we went to one of the doctor's office and he had the picture of the old Payne Park. And I said, there it is. Now look at that ballpark. You know, you used to have to walk through the crowd to get into the dugout and stuff like that. And, you know, it was a whole lot different.
Through the crowd, in under the stands and into the dugout. Yep. But you know what? It was Major League Baseball, and I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Yes, I did too. You know, I mean, I remember '73 when I went to the big league camp. You know, I mean, I didn't know any better. I mean, that was it. You know, it was better than being over in the minor league camp. And you know, then, you know, you go to the big league camp and that's your dream. And you don't care what it is, you know, I mean, it could have been a single wide trailer. I'd have been satisfied, you know, dressing in those guys with Dick Allen and Wilbur Wood and Bill Melton and all those guys.
But there's something about it's just a little more down to earth. Everybody's played baseball. You don't have to be 7 feet to play baseball. You just got to be able to throw a ball, hit a ball, catch a ball, and run.
That's right. You know, and, you know, we grew up, you know, throwing a ball in the backyard, a wiffle ball, you know, a stick ball, playing stick ball. I don't think these kids today know what stick ball is, but that's what we did in the backyard. And that's how I become, you know, a big fan of the Yankees, you know, watching Mickey Mantle. You know, we had a black and white TV.
The Yankees go on the road and won't be back until Memorial Day. May the 30th, doubleheader against the Minnesota Twins. First game at 1. Here's the payoff pitch. This is it! There it goes! It's out of here!
And I remember in school, you know, teacher would say, hey, if you're quiet, you can watch the World Series on black and white TV. And,
that's right.
I'll never forget, you know, and then I wanted to be Mickey Mantle in the backyard, you know, and that's the way we grew up, you know, playing the game, you know, stick ball, you know, tape ball, whatever it was, anything you could swing and hit, you know, because we didn't have a lot of equipment back then, but that's where we got our skills from, our hand-eye coordination.
I grew up in Terre Haute, Indiana, and the neighborhood that I grew up in had no boys in it. No, it was all girls. So I had to play dolls and house in the morning so they would play softball with me in the afternoon. It was a good trade-off. And was it big league coaching or a guy? No, it's just girls my age lived next door to me, out hitting the ball, running, throwing, and you're developing skills. But
Right.
what was your first year in the big league?
My first year, I got called up in 1973. Actually, I was in AAA, and Brian Downing was playing third base in AAA, and he got called up to Tiger Stadium. And I think one of the first plays in first inning or something like that, he ran over to try and catch a ball, and he slid into the wall. And, back then they didn't have padding. So he wound up getting hurt. So they called me up the next day. And, so I wound up playing, I was up there for about 10 days, and they sent me back. And then when September came along, they recalled me. And that's when I pretty much started to play every day in 1973.
Good. Yeah. That's one of the things. You were one of the people when I was a free agent from the Dodgers. I asked Tom Pashori, I said, who's got the best left side of the infield? And he said, Yankees, with Nettles and Dent.
The bases are full. Drew Nettles with a great play to dial to get the run to save 2 rounds. What a display.
Number 9, Greg Nettles, played for the New York Yankees from 1973 to 1983. In his 11 years in pinstripes, Nettles went to 4 World Series in 1976, 77, 78, and 81, going 2-2 in those while winning back-to-back titles in 77 and 78. Nettles fit the model of most third basemen at the time, sure-handed in the field, hit for power with a moderate average. However, Nettles wasn't just sure-handed. He's arguably the greatest fielding third baseman in Yankee history, and put on a clinic during the 1978 World Series, almost single-handedly winning the Bombers their second title in a row. If 77 was considered Reggie's year, 78 was Nettles. Greg took home the 78 ALCS MVP, registering a .333 average with 1 homer and 2 RBIs. Although his bat came back to earth against the Dodgers in the World Series that year, his defensive performance goes down as one of the greatest in baseball history, making play after play in crucial moments to lead the Yankees to a 4-2 series victory. With the series win, the Yanks became just one of 13 teams to come out victorious in a best-of-7 series after falling behind 0-2.
And I said, and then he asked me why, and I said, well, I'm throwing my sinker away, and those right-hand hitters are going to hit a lot of balls to the left side, and I got to have guys that can field it and throw it across the diamond and get runners out. And that's what. And so you and Nettles were the reasons that I signed with the Yankees.
Smart guy. Because I tell you what, when I went over there, that was one thing, that they were a little short of. And that's one of the reasons I got traded to New York. But, playing over there, the years that we won all the championships, sometimes I felt like our defense was a little bit underrated for a while, but Nettles was great to play with on the left side. I mean, I could come off, I didn't have to worry about moving over in a hole too much. And I remember the first play, and I tell the story, opening day, we're playing the Milwaukee Brewers, and I think it was Don Money hit a ball in the hole. And I went over, and Bill Melton played third base in Chicago, and he didn't move a lot, So I went over, I dove at the ball to knock it down. And when I got up, I looked, and Nettles had fielded it clean and threw the guy out at first base. And I got up and I was like, oh my God. And I ran into the dugout, and he'd come over and he started laughing, and I said, geez, I'm trying to knock the ball down, and you just scooped it up and threw right over to third, right over to first base, but he could really play third base. And between him and Brooks Robinson, those two guys were just phenomenal.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Of all your coaches that you played for, who taught you the most?
Al Monchek. When I came up with the White Sox, actually, I started working with Al in instructional ball. I went to instructional league my second year, And then I went my third year also. But Al was the guy that taught me really how to play the game of shortstop. He took me out, he taught me about angles, of playing squaring off the field, because I kind of stood funny when I came up, and he took me out one early morning, and he showed me how to square my feet off and how to play angles and how to turn the double play. He was a guy. And then, my first year up, he used to move me. And he said, the second year, he says, look, I may not be around too long, so you go get in a position that you think where the guy's going to hit the ball off this pitcher. And if I got to move you, I'll move you. And so, the second year, he moved me maybe a couple times, but he was the guy that really taught me how to play shortstop.
Interesting. Yeah, I first met Al when Chuck Tanner came over and managed, and was Joe Launette, Monchak. I'm trying to think, Johnny Saint.
Jim Mahoney.
Yeah. But who taught me more about pitching was an infielder. Name was Eddie Stanky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had Ray Berries was the best coach I ever had. But Eddie Stanky called me in about my fifth or sixth start. And we played the Yankees, called me into his office, sit down. Last night's game, you pitched pretty well. I said, yeah, I thought I did. Okay, we're going to go over the game. What? Go over the game. Yeah, first hitter. What was the count? Wait a minute, 2-2. Okay, 2-2. Where'd he hit the ball? Shortstop. Okay. I had to go through the batting order and tell him what the count was, what pitch he hit, and what he did with it. And it took me maybe 5 or 6 games, and I had it right on. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. But it taught me what to look for when I pitched. And, okay, you get your arm up and you get your elbow up and you get that. But this was just the mental part of the game. And people don't think of that.
No, they don't. And that's the thing that, Al taught me a lot about, the mental part of the game, where to play. He taught me just little things, how to get rid of the ball on a double play. He taught me, you need to have this little clock in your head, He taught me how to set the ball up right on the inside part of my right foot and always throw the ball uphill, how to get away. But the first guy that taught me something was Ray Berries. And I was in the minor leagues. And my first year I signed. And I used to wear like a old, golf glove with the fingers cut off. And I used to put that in my glove because it didn't have much padding. And he walked over to me one day and he says, take that glove off and don't ever wear it again. I said, yes, sir. I said, why? He says, because you can't get the feel of the ball in your glove, And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. And so it taught me how to use how to soften my hands up.
Right. Yeah.
But Ray Berries. He was there. And he's the first guy. He walked over and he says, hey, come here, Rook, come here. And I walked over and he says, take that glove off. And I'm going to tell you why. And I never put it on after that.
I remember when Johnny Sain came over to the White Sox, he was going to teach me the little short curveball or the Johnny Sain slider. And I'm working on it. And I'm pitching terrible, Bucky. Pitching horrible. So I call up Ray Berries after a while. And I said, Ray, Tommy John, damn it. I wondered when you were going to call me. And I said, yeah, I shouldn't I? He said, you were doing good without it. Why do you need it? And I said, well, you got a point there. Okay. And I never even thought about slider, short curveball, whatever Sain called it. But that's what he wanted. one of the other things I want to talk to you about is wearing the shorts with the White Sox.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know, when I played with the White Sox and I came up, we had probably one of the prettiest uniforms in baseball, that red and white pinstripe with the socks.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
Yeah. And then we had the powder blue on the road. And then in 76, when Bill Veeck bought the team, he let his wife design the uniforms. And so they were, you know, the old uniforms, we had clam digger pants. Then we wore the shirts out with the big collar, the big lapels. Yeah. And then they came up with this idea that we were going to wear shorts on Sundays. And everybody's like, shorts, you know, how the hell are we going to slide, you know? So they gave us a little knee pad to put on, you know, in case we did have to slide. And, but I remember the first time we wore them on Sunday against Kansas City. We went out on the field and I'm telling you, it felt weird. You know, we all had a bet that Paul Richards wouldn't walk out and take the lineup card. You know, we said, we're going to bet he's not going to take the lineup card today because he's going to have to wear these shorts up to the plate. Son of a gun, he strutted right out there with his little spindly legs, man, gave the lineup card out. We all looked at each other and go, Dad, God, we just lost a lot of money.
But Vic was a unique guy, wasn't he?
Bill Veeck was a unique, yeah, he was in
all stuff.
Oh, yeah, we had all kinds of stuff going on. I remember Goose used to say, "Dadgummit, I can't warm up down in the bullpen," because Goose was starting that year. They made him and Terry Forster start. He said, "I can't warm up because you used to warm up down the sides. You know,
right.
They didn't have the bullpen out, you know, so you warmed up down the sides." He says, "They got all these hogs and cows walking by, you know, and I don't have time to warm up, you know, with all this stuff on the field, these clowns and everybody, you know." But he was a showman, and he was a guy that, you know, found ways to bring people into the ballpark. He thought it was supposed to be fun.
It is. It
is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
He put the shower out in center field where the people, you know, the fans could take a shower, you know, cool off during day games and stuff like that. So he had a real mind for, you know, trying to make it fun at the ballpark.
What year did you manage the Yankees?
I took over in 1989 for Dallas Green. And I really liked Dallas. You know, I mean, I went to spring training, you know, being a AAA manager. I went to spring training and I got to know Dallas a little bit. You know, I really liked him. But George called me and offered me the job, you know, and I told him, I said, you know, this team's not very good. You know, it's going to take a little while to build this up. And if you're not going to be patient, you know,
right.
then I really don't want the job, you know. And he said, no, I'll be patient, you know, and this and that and the other. And so I took the job and found out that he wasn't patient, and I wound up getting fired in 1990. But I enjoyed it. You know, I really enjoyed it. You know, it was a challenge.
Well, I think what it is, you get to see the game from a different angle.
Mm-hmm. Well, I learned that in the minor leagues. You know, my last year in Kansas City, I played for Dick Hauser, and I love Dick Hauser. He's one of my favorites.
Dick Hauser,
yeah,
was the best manager the Yankees had, in my opinion.
Yes, and
I love him.
We won 103, and they fired him. But when I went to Kansas City and finished up my career, he used to talk to me a lot about, you know, he says, you know, I think you should go to the minor leagues and manage. And he says, the reason I'm telling you need to do that is because, you know, you've played shortstop, you've coached and taught, you know, at your school and stuff, but you need to manage the game. You need to learn to manage pitching, situations, the media. So I started in Fort Lauderdale my first year, and I had Bill Monboquette was my pitching coach. And, you know, I remember, you know, I could teach pretty much anything, but when my first game, it was against Miami, and Mike Torres is pitching against us. And, you know, I'm standing there and the game's going along, and Mambo looked at me, goes, "You want to get somebody warmed up?" And I went like, oh my God, I was so locked into the game that, you know, I forgot about, you know, the pitching. And so he taught me about, you know, situations of, you know, getting pitchers up, which guy to
Right.
use and things like that. And that's when I started to really go, wow, there's a lot to manage in this game. It's so fast, especially from the seventh inning on. He said that, you need to learn to do, handle pitching and stuff like that. So I was lucky. I had some really good pitching coaches. I had Bill Mamoket, I had Hoyt Wilhelm, and when I went to AAA, I had Kenny Rowe, who had just come over from the Orioles, be the pitching coach from, with Earl Weaver. So he taught me a lot of little things also. And that's what Dig was talking about. You need to learn, the game because it's fast. Yep.
I want to talk about your home run against the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Bucky is flied to right and popped up. Runners first and second, 2 out. The pitch to him, bouncing ball off his foot. Fouled it down off his foot. That one hurt.
That's the same foot and hit in spring training.
Trainer Gene Monahan has come out to check that. That one appeared to be down lower on the left leg toward the instep than was the one in spring training. But it hurts, and Monahan is out there to work on it. The count, a ball and a strike on Bucky. Third base coach Dick Hauser hoping this will not be his last game in uniform. Down there observing. When the season ends, when the Yankees play their final game, Hauser will take the uniform off for the last time. As he moves on to Tallahassee, Florida, and takes over as head baseball coach at Florida State University. And now Bucky will step back in with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Runners at first and second, 2 out. Here in the 7th inning, the Yankees are trailing 2-0. Dent is the key man. Stretched by Torres, the set, the kick, and the pitch. Hit deep to left field. This one may be off the wall, maybe in the screen. Home run! Home run for Bucky Dent. Home run, and the Yankees lead it 3-2. In the net in left field, and the entire bench is out on the playing field. The dugout has emptied, waiting for Bucky Dent, who has put the Yankees out in front. 3-2. 3-2. The Yankees lead it on the Dent home run.
And Frank Perez gets the ball up against a Bucky Dent. Bucky Dent hammered the ball into the net.
Now, if I heard you right, there's a backstory to that.
I had been struggling a little bit going into that game. So at batting practice, I was standing there next to Mickey Rivers, and I go, hey, homie, I've been struggling a little bit. Let me try your bat. And so he said, yeah, take it. So I went in and I started hitting with it. And one of the balls I hit off the end, and it got a hairline crack right under the tape. And I knew it. So what happened was in the 7th inning, when I fouled the ball off my leg, he came over to me and he said, hey, homie, you got the wrong bat. That one's cracked. And I said, oh, I really wasn't paying attention to him, And so they sprayed the stuff on my leg, and the bat boy, I started to go towards the plate, and the bat boy ran out and said, hey, Mickey said, you got the wrong bat. Take this one. So he gave it to me. And I got in the box, and first pitch, Mike threw a fastball down and in, which I was a good low ball hitter, and I golfed it into the net. But, maybe it was fate, whatever. But, that's what happened.
And you were MVP of the World Series in 78?
Yes, 1978.
Against us. How could you do it?
You know what happens? TJ, I hit the home run, and then, you get into playoffs, and you start to get locked in, you go, I always say streaks follow streaks, and I was
Yeah.
struggling a little bit. I hit the home run. We went into the playoffs, and then we get into the World Series, and you start to get locked into where you see the ball really well, and it kind of slows down. And that's what happened. I started to feel good at the plate, feel comfortable again, and just started hitting, hit some pretty good pitches, and things started to fall in. And but there was a couple guys that had great series. Brian Doyle had a great series filling in for Willie at second base. Nettles had a great series, and I was just fortunate, to be the most valuable player.
But that's good. You worked your butt off, and God smiled on you, and you got the MVP of the World Series.
Sure did. And,
plus you gained a middle name from the Red Sox fans.
I did, man. And I'm proud of it to today. I love it. I love when they call me that. It's like a coat of armor.
Hey, what do you remember about Thurman's last year with us, 79?
It's interesting. People ask me that all the time. Thurman, loved Thurman. He was a tough guy behind the plate. He played hurt. He was a funny guy, a sarcastic guy, and I think the media kind of read him wrong because he was a good family man.
The captain of the Yankees had an even 100 runs batted in this year. He had 18 home runs. He hits it down the right field line. It's a fair ball. It's going to the corner. Mickey Rivers walks home. Thurman Munson digging for second. The throw by Smith. And he's in there. It's a double for Munson. And so the New York Yankees get on the board early as Rivers singles down the right field line. And then Thurman Munson doubles into the corner.
I guess Sparky and Campbell have got to be the top relievers in the American League.
Yeah.
The National League, I guess you'd have to say Fingers and Lavelle.
There goes Lopes. The throw. They got him.
That time they got him. And the reason was that time he didn't get the good jump.
Thurman made another good throw. I think you're right, Howard. He didn't get a good jump this time. He was out fairly easily, too.
One and two. Ball is hit to right field. Short. Lacey coming in a hurry. Lopes goes out, can't get it. Throw back to Garvey, and Munson is aboard.
Well, you take him any way you can get him. There's a little jam shot that fell in.
Some feel that Thurman Munson, up till now, has been the most valuable player. Others talk about Lou Piniella.
The pitch to Munson. Looped. Short left center. Reggie Smith cannot get it. Base hit. The first hit of the ball game. Took it on the hands and shoveled it to short left center. Munson hits it high and deep to left. Baker going way back, and it's gone.
Sir.
Home run, Munson.
Munson having a couple of words with Sutton as he's running around the bases, too, it looked like, for one reason or another. I don't know why. Maybe it's bits of humor. Sutton's doing a little smiling on the mound. He also knows that he's ahead by 7 runs in the top of the 8th inning, too.
2 hits for Thurman on the day. He continues to hit in every game. That graphic an index to the consistency of Thurman Munson.
Shot to left. Be a base hit. Baker cuts it off and hurries it back in to hold Thurman Munson at first base.
1 out is all they need. Any fly ball, anything. That's all they need. That's do it. That's going to do it. Torres gets it.
The Yankees win their 21st World Series.
He was flying. And so we went to spring training, and I had started to learn how to fly in the winter. I was the national chairman for Easter Seals, and they used to pick me up in a helicopter, fly me up. And I got to talking to the pilot one day and about flying. And he says, if you want to fly, I'll teach you. And I said, great. So we used to fly out of Teterboro. And so then in spring training, Thurman, I talked to him a little bit about flying. He says, come on, we'll go up. And so I went with him in his King Air at the time,
King Air, right.
Yeah. Twin prop. And we used to fly over Miami. And then during the season, I went with him a couple times in his King Air, and, we got to talk about different things and stuff like that. But when he got his jet, I never went in his jet. I didn't feel comfortable, and because he didn't have many hours. And but I enjoyed flying, talking baseball with him when we were up. We were up there just flying
You
around.
know, it's funny. When I came over, I'm in spring training. He never caught me one pitch. So we start the season, and he said, "Do you want to pitch these guys the same way you did in spring training?" I said, "You never caught me." He said, "Do you think I sit there and not paying attention? I saw how you pitched, and I know what you throw. I know what you threw." And I said, "Yeah." And he was the best catcher I ever pitched to. The best catcher I ever pitched to.
Well, he was funny. I mean, he could do some funny things, and playing shortstop, and a lot of times when Guidry or Goose would get to 3-2, he wouldn't even put a sign down. He would just put his hand up and wave and say, "Just throw it. I got it." And and I used to start chuckling, because he'd be sitting down there. He didn't wear a helmet. He just had his hat. And he would look up and he'd just wave his hand and say, "Throw it. Bring it on. I got it." But yeah, he was a baseball player. And talking about that, about him watching and observing and stuff like that. And that was the old school guys, we didn't, you sit there and you watch how they pitch, and you watch what the hitter's doing. And it's the same thing when I played shortstop. I had to learn the sequence of each pitcher, what they're throwing, what they had, who's hitting, you're different from Guidry. When Guidry pitched, I very seldom got a ground ball. But when you pitched, I would get 8, maybe 10 ground balls a game. I had to really be on my game. So those are the things that you kind of learned on your own. You had people tell you what, teach you certain things, but then you had to have the instincts to learn different things on your own.
What was Bucky's Circus magazine cover? What was that about?
Well, at the end of '78, they asked me to do a poster. And so I went to the ballpark that day, and I went to my locker, and there was no uniforms or anything in there. All I had was a pair of shorts and a cutoff sweatshirt that I worked out in. And they said, "Put that on." And it was like 30 degrees that day. And so I put it on, put my sweatsuit on, walked out, got a bat. We went out there, started taking some pictures and things like that. And I wound up making a poster. And I think it was one of the first athletes that had a poster. And it took off. In the first month, it sold like 100 and some thousand. And but what happened was the guy that owned the rights to it passed away. And so it became a problem in court. So, but, from that, they put it on, the different magazines and stuff.
But I can tell you the toughest day that I had to play baseball was the Monday that we flew up to bury him.
Yep.
I coming back, I remember Goose came to our house, and he and I laid on the floor, caught a little nap, because I had pitched Sunday. And I just, that was one of the hardest days of my life in baseball, is when we had to bury Thurman, because he was such a good guy, great teammate.
Flying up there, going through the emotions of that, and then flying home and playing, playing that night. And I remember running out on the field, and turning around and looking, and they left home plate empty. And, standing there and going, "Oh my God, he's not there." And, Jerry Narron was the catcher. He ran out a little bit later, but I'll never forget where I was when I found out that Thurman had died. I was in the Twin Towers, and I'd had dinner, and I came down and was trying to get my car, and the valet guy says, "Aren't you Bucky Dent?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Boy, it's a shame what happened to Thurman." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "He got killed in a plane crash." And I was like, "Oh my God." I just sat on my car and started crying, because then I got flashbacks, because Sunday we were in Chicago, And I remember the last time I saw him and Bobby Mercer and his wife were walking across the parking lot. And so I said to the guy, I said, you know, was anybody in the plane? And he goes, yeah, there was 2 other people. And I thought it was Mercer and Kay, you know, because I'd seen them walk out together.
Yeah.
And then I found out it wasn't them, you know, that it was 2 other guys that were in the plane with them. And one of those guys became my partner in my baseball school. And but I'll never forget that. It was the worst feeling, and you know, just sitting there, bawling my eyes out, driving home, going, I can't believe this just happened. Yeah, because he was a great teammate.
But anyway, I appreciate you coming on and talking baseball.
No,
I want to plug Herkimer Diamonds. My friend Renee Shavat, she's the sponsor of the first 6 shows of this, and she has Herkimer Diamond Mines in upstate New York, right down the street from Cooperstown. So maybe if I get inducted into the Hall of Fame of baseball, I'll go down to Herkimer and bring some diamonds back.
There you go. I'll be there with my hand out, pal. And I hope you get it. I hope you get in there. One of our good teammates, Jim Cott, got in there this year. And
that's right.
You're the last guy with 288 wins that is not in. And I'm praying that you get in this year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I did get an honor that I'm going to be inducted into New York State Hall of Fame with Goose and David Cohn and Ron Bloomberg. So I'm looking forward to that in November, and I'm excited about that and honored.
Thanks for coming on with me, and we'll see you down the road at some golf tournament.
You got it, buddy.
Okay. Thanks, Bucky.
Right. You got it, man.
Okay.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All of our Herkimer Diamonds, whether they're in their natural form or calibrated form or jewelry or clusters or in the host rock, we're the source. So we sell a lot of product to a variety of people throughout the world.